I will say that I definitely feel as though when Bleach does flashbacks, it makes it interesting. Just like when it did Turn Back the Pendulum, just like it did Everything But the Rain, it always gives this atmosphere of like suspense and like, oh, so this is how it happened, and just the setting and the atmosphere or whatever. Kubo knows how to make flashbacks feel exciting. So 5 years of training for them and whatnot, and one of the things that we got in this chapter is that we found out that Hoshwald was a complete failure of a Quincy, so to speak. He was a rare Quincy born at once every 100 years or so, but he basically couldn't form up any ratio or whatever. So that really makes me wonder about Hoshwald now. Like, he trained really hard, so he was kind of like a Rock Lee in a sense where he trained his abilities of sword combat and whatnot, but he had no ratio or whatever. And I'm wondering right now, like, is Hoshwald, even though he can kick ass, maybe he's athletic and whatever the case may be, but like, as far as being able to fuck someone up using powers or whatnot, does that mean that Hoshwald in a sense is kind of weak? Like, if you have some really epic abilities, you could fuck him over? Like, I know he's Bach's right-hand man, but he might be Bach's right-hand man simply because Bach has no other choice because of something like, in a sense, what we found out in, past couple chapters, that when Bach, nighttime comes or whatever, Bach's powers get reversed with him, and Bach basically becomes nothing. And that again explains possibly why they had to rush back to the Barn and Rake. It's like, bro, you about to have no powers. You need to get there now. And that does showcase at the end of the day what type of person Bazby is. Like, he's a hot-headed, arrogant asshole, but he did care about Jugram. He didn't want to leave him behind. He seen that he was a weakling and that he had nothing special about him other than that he worked hard, but he didn't want to abandon him or whatever, and I respect that. And I think that showcases a little bit more about Bazby, and I wish more of the Stern Ritter got some of this exposition and background like Bazby is getting, because like, it's making me like Bazby a lot more. Like, prior to this little flashback and finding out more about Bazby, I was just like, he's just another Stern Ritter with a little quirk to him or whatever. But now that we're getting more of who he is and whatnot, I care about him. And I wish this would have happened with so many of the other Stern Ritters, especially the cool ones like Asnod and shit like that. Is like, these flashbacks really help to give validity to them and make me care about them, not just those like 5-page flashbacks. Like, this right now is blowing up, and making more to who Bazby is. And then after seeing Yhwach announce that he's gonna start his army, he's going after the Serite or whatever, he's going after Soul Society, kind of makes me wonder in the past exactly what was the relationship between Soul Society, and I guess they were in the living world or whatever. Like, so they were aware of Soul Society back in those days, and they were kind of scared of it, I'm guessing, or they like followed it to the T exactly what they said, and maybe that's why Bach started his rebellion as well. And it seems as though like Yhwach was on that fucking Conqueror's King hockey type of shit, kind of like when Aizen had that Reishi so strong he was making motherfuckers evaporate and shit. Like, he had that Reishi that was so powerful that motherfuckers was falling down to the ground. So that just showcased that even way back then, Bach was a powerhouse not to be fucked with. And getting more of Bazby's character yet again is just like, Bazby, why didn't we know about this sooner? Because like, you just totally turned from a whatever Stern Ritter to you actually gave a fuck about a weakling like Jugram back in the day. You're hot-headed as fuck, but that makes you cool. And you got balls, because he fucking challenged one of Yhwach's people. He was like, yo, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I was like, this is a little kid. Who knows? Maybe he might have gotten his ass kicked by that dude, the officer or whatever. But like, that's some respect. And then at the end of the chapter builds more suspense when Yhwach comes and picks Jugram as his right-hand man and says, you're my other half. Now, my other half, I think there's some strong connection simply because, first of all, with us finding out that Hoshwald is like this rare Quincy born once every 100 years or whatever, that possibly has some sort of link to him and Yhwach. Possibly him being born was like a string connected to him in some way, and that could possibly be why their power switch at night. And who knows, maybe this entire time Hoshwald has been gaining Bach's powers at night and not even knowing it, and maybe Bach has realized this as well, and he finally found him and he was like, yeah, I need to take him. Which again makes me wonder just exactly how strong Hoshwald is before nighttime comes, because it seems as though he might just be on some Rock Lee shit, like he can kick your ass, but he can't do much else, and he just worked hard for what he has. So with all that being said, honestly, an interesting chapter building up more suspense, but aside from that, it was just giving us background information yet again into Bazby, which was interesting, and finding out more about Jugram and Yhwach, and kind of, again, building up what could potentially be. I mean, if he said my other half, then that kind of explains exactly what it means when they, switch powers at night. They're connected in some way. So 7 out of 10 for this one, but let me know what you guys think. First of all, what did he mean by my other half? Is there something more to it than that? Is he connected in some way to the Soul King? Maybe he's the Soul King's like runt or bastard child, Oswald. And what do you think about Baz B? Do you think that if more of the Stern Ritter got this treatment that Baz B is getting, and like, you know, this backstory or whatnot, that we would give more of a shit about them? And your overall thoughts of the chapter. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you do so as well, that'd be amazing. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.